Welcome to part 15. Well, you've made it this far, you might as well carry on to the end. Right, so steps to complete before covering. Cut the tailplane elevator hinge slots. The tailplane to elevator joints uses mylar hinges fitted to the slots that need to be carefully cut into the leading edges of the elevators and the trailing edges of the tailplane. The positions of the hinges are etched on the parts. Use a ruler or Scotch tape to mark the centre of the bolster at the etched locations. Then, using a sharp knife, very carefully cut through the slots in the image of the tailplane right, making sure that it cuts through the width and not through one or other side of the trailing edge. Repeat the process for the leading edges of the elevators. The trailing edge of the tailplane needs to be beveled to allow the elevators to move correctly, so using Scotch tape to mask one half of the trailing edge of the tailplane in line with the hinge slots, sand a bevel along the unprotected side approximately 45 degrees. Then use tape to protect the bevel side of that as a similar bevel on the other side of the trailing edge. Give both sides of the tailplane elevators a light and sand gently, creating a rounded finish to the outside edges. Now, right, you may recall that whatever part it was in, that we was making the tailplane and the elevators. Now, my big question is, why didn't we do all of this all at the same time? Because I did, you saw me do it. So I'm just going to make a very short piece on this before we move on. Now, there are the markings for your mylar, okay, and these got to be 6mm, cut 6mm, and you use them full length and trim them as you need or want to. You don't particularly need to use Scotch tape. You can just get your glass paper on, now just to use this as an example, on a board. You hold it against the edge of the board and you go shh, shh, shh. That's it. That's all you've got to do. No messing around with tape. Now, marking out your hinges. You can either use one of these, cost me 60 pence, I don't know how much they are now. You put it in there, you twist it, you see the little pin there, and you just go along like that, and it marks the centre. If you can't get one of them, you get one of these, and you go like this. Hang on a second, because I'm doing this cag-handed. You put that there, and then you put the knife, where's my knife gone? Put the knife in there, and that marks the centre. I think try to use masking tape. you just no. So anyway, so your tailplane and your elevator will look like this, okay? And then all you got to do is just go around the corners here, sand it all off using your 800 or higher. Go over the whole thing, top and bottom, make sure there's nothing sticky or hard. Run your fingers over it gently, just feel for any sharp edges, anything like that. And it's pretty elementary really. And there you go, that's your tailplane done. But I just don't understand why this was not all tackled earlier when we was putting it together. Maybe the guy just forgot about it and couldn't be bothered to change the page number. I don't know. So I've had a moan, I've had a groan and a moan and a groan. So there you are, the old man's lost his balance. So I'll put this back over there so I don't lose him. Alright. So it's the same with the ailerons. I just did them all in the same time. I don't see why you have to go back to it. So, step 4, construct the top wing jig. Now, there you go, construct the top wing jig. We're going to do this, okay, and this, and this. Look here, we're going to do this. I need a second or two to read this, cut the parts out, and I'll come straight back to you. There you go. That's your jig, and it's not hard to do. Put it together in about 20 seconds. Glued it together so it's not going to move or go anywhere. Now the next thing you've got to do is you've got to, oops, here we go, you've got to put the middle wing in. Now you got to be careful here, and this is where the precision, try saying that after a few points, comes in, because just to demonstrate, that spar has got to fit in, and that spar's got to fit in, and this front bit's got to go here. So after a bit of jiggery pokery, I sort of discovered how to do it. So you put the leading edge in, and then you sort of, what's the word, I suppose, issue the rear part in, and then go to the slots, make sure they're in the slots, let the wing as flat as you can get it. Now you'll see the curved part there, which is RMC something or other. I can't remember because I'm old and I'm going daft. And that slots in, and you check the other side without breaking anything. There you go. See, twist you a bit there. There you go. And that's got a slot in as well. And once they're both in, fully home, square on, hopefully. Yeah, it could be a little bit better, couldn't it? But you know, we can look at that. Now, just as a guide for myself, I got my level, and I put my level in the gun bay, and that's level. So therefore, that should be level. Hang on a second. Where has my brain gone? I can, yes, this will do. This will do. Oop. There you go. And that's right. Now that's level 2. Okay, so we know that's level now. And then you take the jig and you slot it. Change the camera angle. You slot it with this sloping end going forward. I put an F on mine so I know it's the front. It's the F in front. Anyway, so that slots in. It can't go anywhere. Okay. And now they want us to put the top wing on. So I'm just going to read a little bit further, because I can't believe that they want you to glue this. I'm not going to glue it, but I hope they're not asking me to glue it, and I'll be with you in just a second. Right, okay, so that's what it looks like when you've got the top wing on. But it is noted that the 2 spars, which do fit in, I have to say perfectly from looking at it, however, you have to put a little bit of down pressure on the wing to make it sit on top there, but I don't know the reason. Oh, maybe this is for the cabanes. There's a little cutout. See if I can show you. Do you see this cutout here and here? So they may be for the cabanes. I'll have to see. But I need to show you something, because this took me a few moments to figure out. I can take one of the struts out without breaking it. Careful, careful, careful. I'll take this off the... So that, okay, is you have to sort of push it down to make it seat, and these are not going through the middle there, So maybe a little bit of soft sanding, I don't know. But it's sitting on the top edge there. Oh, there it is, look, see. So these are touching. So that's probably right then. Touching at the back. But it doesn't seem to meet here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to or not. But what I did discover was, and I only discovered it because there's only one reference that I can see. We get one of the struts out. Let's see. We get both the struts out. There you go. I'll just gentle. There you go. You'll notice this shape at the bottom is different to the top, and I spent a few minutes looking for a reference. There's nothing in the instructions so far I've read. Let's put those to one side so I don't lean on them and break them. But looking at the drawing, it shows the flat square there. At the bottom, it shows that configuration there. So that is the top, that is the bottom, and that leans, the top leans forward. Okay, so I'm going to put this back the way it was and start recording again and see if I can get the struts and the cabanes in. I think those are definitely for the hookups for the cabanes. It looks that way. Okay. Well, this is interesting. The wings are parallel to each other the whole length. However, the cabanes don't meet here and here. I'm not sure why, and I'm wondering whether the middle wing needs to seat lower in or not, and I'm still a bit confused as to what these grooves are for. I really don't know, but luckily in the instructions it does say once you've made it all fit, take it apart and then it's ready for covering, which is good because it would have been mental to cover it like this. Now the outer struts fit in snugly and underneath both sides, so I've got to figure out what's wrong. It seems, you see, let me just see if I can get this up. It should be that top wing rests fully on the jig, but it's not. I'll have to investigate. I'll get back to you. Well, I made some discoveries. The first one was that one of the struts was actually not in the slots, and that was making a difference. And then I had a bit of a cheeky idea, so I'm going to try this cheeky idea out in just a second or two, and let's get the middle wing back in. Anyway, I was getting a little bit tired last night, so it's I'm hoping I'll be a bit more astute. I'll just check this, line it up and in, which it appears to be. Okay, now you know you're halfway there when this part, let's get this into shot, when this part here is in sort of uniformed with the rest of the fuselage. So it should look something like that. Okay, and as I said, I've not looked ahead, but I'm guessing there's going to be a sheet over here at some point. Okay, so what we're doing is, and this is the cheating bit, in fact I'll bring you over here. Right, if we pull these cabanes out slightly, ever so slightly, it makes them longer. And it sort of came to me as a bit of a revelation last night, and I thought, what is to make them longer by pulling them out? So let's see what difference that makes, because I don't know myself yet. Okay. This strut here was not in the correct place. Now I'll try and bring you back a little bit. I've got a wide angled lens on this. That's strut in place. That's strut. I'm forgetting the jig. Oh my word. Let's put you over here, might be even better. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Like that. There we go. Put the jig in place. Okay. And really this exercise is just to see, is everything all lined up and fits, so that, oh, it's come out, cabane's come out, so that it's ready for covering, which was my hope, because I thought, well, this is a little crazy, but anyway, turns out it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And here we are. There should really, I don't know how you would do it, but it'd be ideal if there's some way of pinning down the wing. The middle wing, I should say. So now, if I turn this around, right, the back cabane needs to go further in. So the right hand's okay. So that's got to go in there. Oh, that's got to go in there. So now let's have a look. If I apply a little pressure on the top, there you go. So the front of the cabane goes in, does the back. As it happens, yes it does. So this is just needs a little bit of weight on there. So what shall I use for a little bit of weight? Is that heavy enough? Probably not. Okay, so I'm going to show you around the back now. So once I put a little bit of pressure on the top, everything now falls into place. So it's just when I come to glue it together, all I'm going to do is just hold it like that and it should be okay. So it just lifts slightly. I think what it is that the struts are pushing the wing up at the wing tips, and it's not doing the same thing in the middle. So, but the cabanes do seem to be going into the correct place. Now there's just one more test I've got to do. Put this at the back. Come on now, that's it. Right, do they look symmetrical? So I would say yes they do. Yes they do. So I think we're okay there. So I think let's have a quick look before, see what the instructions say before I turn off the video. Okay, suggest that sandpaper is used and that both cabane struts are modified equally. Remove only small amounts and check after each adjustment. I would suggest that if the cabanes are too long, until the wingtip is correctly aligned, or if it's not aligned properly, in other words if it's leaning one way or the other. Dismantle the wings and jig etc. for covering. Sand the leading edge and trailing edges for the interplane struts, top and bottom to a rounded profile ready for covering. Trailing edges of the interplane struts. I see, okay. Well, I've done that anyway. Paint the gun bay floor matte black and the interior of the cockpit a wood brown colour, leaving a small area of the floor unpainted where the pilot figure will be stuck. Well, it's brown anyway, isn't it? And then it goes on to covering. So what's this, 15? So we'll do that in 16, I think, and I think that'll do for part 15. It doesn't seem to mention anything about checking the bottom wing, so obviously that's not obviously that important. So okay, there we go. So apart from painting the gun deck black, I've already painted certain things black because I already know they're going to be black. So we'll call it a day on part 15, and that's what it should all look like. Thank you for watching. I look forward to meeting you again in part 16. Cheerio.